Hello and welcome to Plastic Kraken. Today I'm going to be taking a look at some of the latest Halo Flashpoint news and give you some updates on some things that you can expect from the game post-release, some things you can expect when you unbox the game. So we've had lots of new details recently from the Mantic and Army Painter streams that they did together. And so we're going to be taking a look at those now and discussing these. And well, I think they've raised some really good things on here, some really good things to hear. And I think it's only just increased my excitement for this game. So, yeah, as I said, a ton of information came from these recent live streams. So there were two of them, and the chat had chances to ask questions. And there's some good questions asked, and some good hints given at some of the surprises that Mantic have in store for us with this game. So let's just dive right into it. So first of all, just a quick recap, I suppose, for anyone who's new to this game or is not quite sure what is Halo Flashpoint. So the models that come in this are pre-built for you. This isn't a game where you have to build all the models yourself and decide on what weapons to give everyone and stuff like that. The models are already built for you. The terrain is like cardboard terrain that you just quickly put together. So it just punches out of a board, you put it together. It's not going to be like very time intensive to do that. You can open this game and get up and run in the same day very easily. So this is a game, if you've never played any kind of like war game or miniatures game before, this is something that you're going to be able to pick up easily. And it's designed with like a simple rule system. And it doesn't mean like basic, but it means like clear, um, just like clear beginner friendly rules. It's based on a game that Mantic made called Dead Zone, which has a great rule system. A lot of people speak very highly of that game. And this is like a very Haloified version of that. So if you love Halo, you're gonna love this game. The flavor really does seem to be there. Um, Comes in two editions. So you got Recon and Spartan edition. Recon is like your sort of like more basic edition, but you get everything you need in there. So dice, your figures, your terrain, your cards, all your tokens and weapons and things. And then the Spartan edition just includes more, but we'll get onto that in a little bit as well. Um, and yeah, if you're a Halo fan, you're going to recognize all the sort of key concepts and things of this. And this isn't a game where you need to go out and buy additional books and things like that, or a huge army, at least not at this point. Although we will touch on that as well in just a bit. So yeah, now that recap out of the way, let's talk about the latest info. So we got more information about the paint set. So obviously with it being an Army Painter stream as well, they were also keen to talk about the paints a little bit. So we know that these paints are from the Army Painter Fanatic range. But what we learned during the stream as well is that a couple of these colors in here are actually unique at the moment to this set. So I believe it was the green and the blue. So that green is like a Master Chief green essentially, and the blue as well, I guess, for the power sword. That both of these are colors that were designed for this. And yeah, this is going to be the only place to get them, at least initially, by the sounds of things. And these, all the colors in the set as well, they said, were approved by Microsoft and 343 in terms of like being like colors that sort of appropriate to Halo. Which is quite interesting. A good mix of colors, as you can see in there. Plus, you get your black and white. So if you don't have paints or you really want to get Master Chief, and you didn't order the game in time to get Master Chief that way, you can get Master Chief in this paint set along with a brush. If you do want to go down the route of painting your models, you absolutely do not have to though if you don't want to. So yeah, that was like the first thing that we learned about the paints there as well. Um, we then saw some things from the unboxing as well. So when they unboxed this game, so they unboxed the Recon Edition first of all, and we saw things like, so inside of it you get your rule book, your cards for your models, and then they were showing the like the punch out boards that you have. So you get four of those. That's got your tokens and your terrain on. They did show that in the Spartan edition, where obviously you get a bit more terrain for your money. There's actually two extra sheets in there with the extra terrain on. The terrain as well is reversible, so it can be built as both an outside and inside environment, and you can take them apart and put it back together again as you see fit, to match those different styles. The Recon Edition comes with a paper board, we saw. So you pop that down and you play your game on it. And then on the flip side of it, for your first game, it's got like a smaller board already sort of mapped out for you, along with places it tells you like put this guy here, put the terrain here. And then it has all the rules you need to play that first sort of beginner game, all around the edge, like all your weapon rules and keywords and things, and it just like talks you through that first game so you can have a quick little go. And they said that they've tested that initial game again and again to make sure it's absolutely perfect sort of starting experience. It's going to teach you it, so then you can go on and play some bigger games with your full team of guys and just be off to the races with that. So that's a really cool idea, something definitely more companies should copy that sort of thing, because I think that's just yeah, just a great way to get you started. Like here, you flip this over, you've got your basic setup, and you're away. You're not having to thumb through the rule book for every little thing on that first game, sort of slowing you down. It's all just going to be there. So that was really cool to see. With the Spartan edition, they didn't show everything actually. So they didn't show off like the cards for the elites or the banished that come with it. And they also didn't show the cards for the 4 extra guys that you get in the Spartan edition. So Ronnie specifically said, he wanted to save some things for launch. So that would be the first time you see those. They're not going to reveal those ahead of the launch. So when you get your box, if you've pre-ordered this, you're opening it day one. You're going to get to sit there and read something about this game that you've not seen before. You're going to get to find out what those extra guys have in terms of their profiles and things. So yeah, I think it's really exciting to have something kept secret for the first day. Um, as well as that, then they also talked a bit about the army building and points. Like people would ask, are we going to get army building and points? They've spoken a little bit about this before as well. Said that at launch they just want it to be everyone get used to what's in the set in terms of your 4 guys versus your 4 guys. Um, I suppose with the Spartan edition there is a bit extra because we know the elites, they have their own cards, so they're going to be different and play differently, and they are intended to play, just 4 elites say against 4 Spartans. But they did mention, if you want to just mix it up, you can go ahead. You can have 2 Spartans working with 2 elites if you wish. It's really up to you. But they want to give everyone sort of like a level playing field to some respects, and not have just like a crazy amount of releases and all these different sort of army building points things. That I think the thing to remember with this game is it's very much aimed at newcomers to the sort of wargaming scene as much as anyone else. This for a lot of people, I think this will be their first game, and it's going to be the Halo name that brings them in. And so I think it's smart to just keep things simple at first. There's other games out there, I'm sure you don't need me to tell you which ones, where they really can overload you very quickly with the amount of books and, uh, just the different rules changes and things, like constant changes to everything. Um, and so, yeah, so I think that they just want to get things off on a level playing field, and then they'll start introducing the army building stuff, especially as we get more models, then that will make more sense. And they did speak a little bit about the more models, which I'll get to in a second. I suppose along with that as well, they did mention about Master Chief and his rules, and so that was interesting. I'll get to that in a little bit, but another question that came up was about solo play. Will there be any solo play options in there for launch? Again, they said no, they're very much focused on like the sort of PvP side of things, which is very fitting for Halo. But the solo play side of things is on their radar, but not something that they're ready to sort of talk about right now. There's no plans in the immediate pipeline. But I think something like some cool sort of survival mode or something would be really good. like you playing a Spartan against a waves of like flood or something down the line would be really cool. Um, People, of course, asked about, are we going to get a firefight style game, like a bigger army game with vehicles and all that sort of stuff? As they said, obviously now the focus is on this game, making this as as good as it can be, getting it out there to everyone. Um, uh, I think it's important that if you want that style of game, consider getting this, because the more people that get this game, the more popular it is, the more of a case, Mantic will have, when they're putting this towards Microsoft and 343, more of a case they'll have for, let us do a bigger game, and I think just the vehicles and stuff, it would work so well, and it would just look great on the tabletop. So I would love to see them do it, and I hope that it's something that they can do. Ronnie did say, he's a big fan of bigger battles and things like that. So if he can make it happen, he definitely will. So yeah, I think definitely consider supporting it. If you're into Halo, if this seems like a fun game to you, and you're on the fence, and what's putting you off is that you would like to see a bigger game, maybe just take the plunge, like maybe even just if it's just the recon edition. But yeah, maybe take the plunge on this, take a chance, and just show them that you are interested, that there is a market for this, and that the Halo fans will unite behind it and enjoy what seems to be just a really fantastic and fun looking game. So yeah, I'd love to see that happen down the line. It sounds like they would too. So yeah, hopefully it materializes. So they also spoke about the first wave of releases post-launch. So we know we're going to be getting new Spartans, sort of like one of the first releases. And so they spoke about, gave the example of a guy who actually starts with a grav hammer as opposed to having to go and pick one up. So I think that'd be really interesting. Some additional ways to sort of mix up your teams, even just with the Spartans, and that's not even getting into like Flood and Covenant and things like that. So yeah, it sounds like Spartans initially, but that other stuff is 100% coming. Um, yeah, so Master Chief and the Banish. So they spoke about the Banish just being sort of like a replacement team, essentially. Obviously, you can see they got different weapons equipped and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, keeping those cards secret until release. Master Chief, the way that he's confirmed to work is that he is essentially going to cost you 2 spots on your team. So if you're playing with Master Chief on your team instead of playing with Team 4, you'd be playing with Team 3. So I think you can expect him to be pretty beefy. They did mention so he comes with his cards as well. So they did say cards plural. Um, and yeah, so they mentioned, if you're getting him for free from the pre-order that they did initially, or if you're getting him as part of the paint set, either way, you're going to be getting the cards for him as well, so you can actually use him in the game. He's not just like a proxy for one of the other guys. He does have his own rules, which is great to see. It would have been a real shame otherwise. One of the other sort of first releases that they're going to do as well. So initially they mentioned things like they're going to be releasing the terrain that comes with the set separately, and for people that just want like a bit more of the same terrain to like pad out the battlefield a bit more, I guess. But they also mentioned someone asked about tokens and neoprene mats. Tokens, we already know those are coming, but neoprene mats, they said, yeah, big fan of neoprene mats. They're coming. So it's good to get confirmation of that, so you can upgrade from the cardboard mat that you actually get with the Spartan edition. So I should mention the Spartan edition comes with cardboard mat as well as that paper mat that I was speaking about earlier, that had the beginner rules on the other side, and that cardboard mat as well is reversible, so you got an inside and outside with that. People asked about new terrain sets, whether we would see terrain from in the game, and like I think the example was given of sort of like Banish style terrain, and yeah, I think it was at that point Ronnie just had a big smile on his face, and yeah, he didn't say anything, but he didn't need to. So yeah, you can pretty much take that as that is coming as well. So that's super cool. And then in terms of like the release cadence, I believe they mentioned, after once the initial sort of stuff's come out, we've had a little bit I believe after sort of like a month or so, we should be getting the first bunch of additional releases in terms of like those extra Spartans with the different weapon options. And I think then they mentioned that essentially probably get new releases about every quarter or so. So, you're not going to be overwhelmed with new releases if this is something that you want to keep up and grab every new release. It's not like there's stuff coming out every other week for this thing that's going to, be a serious financial drain. You are going to have the opportunity to have a bit of a breather between things, get your stuff painted, play with it, and then when the next release comes along, hopefully you'll be ready for it, unless you've, got this stuff sat in a pile of shame somewhere. So I think that's right. I think that seems like a good cadence of things, and yeah, I'm excited for what they've got coming for this game, 100%. In terms of the extra sort of little details as well that we learned, so they did say they don't expect an FAQ and errata at launch. Great to see. This isn't a rule set that you're going to have a load of issues with, and that they have to rewrite a bunch of rules and explain things in you know super detail because try hard tournament people are looking for any little way to abuse the rules. The rules are based on Dead Zone. It's a good rule set. They've, they've tested this. A lot of the sort of like keywords of things are, have equivalents in Dead Zone. So they already know that these rules work. So they're not expecting to have to come out and make a load of changes to this. So essentially, your rule book that you get in the box, you're going to be good with that, which is excellent to see. It's not one of these situations where it comes out and the rule book in the box is immediately out of date. They also mentioned the license details. So Ronnie mentioned he'd been trying to get this license since 2017. And yeah, and he actually said, he's glad that they didn't get it back then, which I thought was really interesting. He said that, their technology and development and tools and everything are so much better now that they wouldn't have been able to deliver this as well as they are had they got it back then. And they mentioned, the dead zone and design teams, everything have just cut. That all came such a long way during that sort of those periods that yeah, we've ended up essentially with a better Halo game as a result of that. So yeah, that was I thought that was just really interesting, and they did mention as well that they have signed this license for as long as they possibly could. As long as Microsoft and 343 would give them a license for. Um, and that yeah, I hope this is something they're going to be really happy with. I can't imagine how they look at this and not be happy with it, but I suppose it's all going to come down to sort of sales and revenue and things like that. So yeah, do support this game if you want to see more, I guess, from Halo and this license, because I think it's a really interesting license, perfect for a miniature game, and this sort of style of game just seems like they've really captured that sort of multiplayer PvP sort of game that you'd expect from Halo with the different game modes and things like that. So yeah, exciting stuff from this game. They spoke a little bit about the game length as well. So they said, roughly about an hour. Um, but they did mention, if you want to change the length of that game, so if you just want to have like quick half-hour games, 45-minute games, whatever, you can do things to sort of alter that. Uh, so they gave the example of, if you're playing a game of Slayer, you just reduce the number of kills that you need to get. If you're playing Oddball, for example, reduce the number of points you need to get. And again, I suppose if you want a longer game, you increase it. And they said, the rule book does have some suggestions on that as well, like sort of what number of kills would take this long, this number of points is going to take this long, which again, thought a really good addition to put in there, just to give people an idea, and so you could sort of plan things out. So if you'd rather play sort of 3 or 4 shorter games rather than 1 or 2 long games in an evening, then you can tailor the rules to match that. So some really good forward thinking there, I think. They also mentioned, some people are sort of thought that the boat had sailed with this game. Like, it is too late to pre-order it. It's absolutely not. This is game still available to pre-order. I suppose if you want the Spartan edition and you're looking for possibility of getting Master Chief or something like that, go and speak to your friendly local game store, see what they can do. Like they may still have copies available where they're going to get the Master Chief, or if you just want to just make sure you're locking this down, getting your game, go and speak to them. Support your local store, show them that there's an interest in this game so they can get some in. And then yeah, hopefully they might get things like the organized play kits, things like that, and yeah, definitely worth speaking to them about and showing your interest in as well. Well, that's everything from me for today. So thank you very much for watching. Please do like, comment, and subscribe. I'd love to hear what it is that you're most excited for this game, what things you hope are coming. Any suggestions you'd have for how they could even make the game even better than it's already looking. And I do suggest you do go and check out those streams that they did. They are a good watch. They run through a little demo game as well at one point. And it's just a really good atmosphere, I thought, to the streams as well. Just a bunch of guys just like us, sitting around chilling, literally drinking some beers and playing some games, painting some models, and having a good time. So a couple of excellent streams that even though you've heard most of the details here, it's still well worth a watch. So yeah, thank you very much and take care. Bye bye.